the Executive Director of the ACLU of Wisconsin, Pastor Warner of Plymouth Church, and two couples who are plaintiffs in the ACLU's case for freedom to marry in Wisconsin, Roy Badger and Garth Wangeman, Cami Young and Kareena Wills. First, I'd like to welcome up Chris Amity, who has served as the Executive Director of the ACLU of Wisconsin since 1992. Chris?
Thank you, Sid. I'm Chris Amity. I'm the Executive Director of the ACLU of Wisconsin. Amity is spelled A-H-M-U-T-Y. Welcome. Today, we're pleased to announce the creation of a new campaign designed to promote marriage equality in Wisconsin as the ACLU's successful challenge to Wisconsin's marriage ban proceeds through the federal courts. The ACLU of Wisconsin, Fair Wisconsin, and the national group Freedom to Marry are joining together to have a campaign that will educate and motivate and give couples in Wisconsin and supporters of freedom to marry in Wisconsin an opportunity to participate as we move forward as the date for the oral arguments in the ACLU's case, August 26th, approaches. So the campaign is designed to educate, empower, and has a message really, and that is it's time Wisconsin is ready for marriage equality. All the factors point to that. Hitting poles have changed. Community leaders, business leaders, religious leaders, individuals, gay and straight, are all coming forward to support marriage equality. So we're not going to argue our case in public. We have our case before the judges at the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals in Chicago. We're very confident that we have a strong case based upon a great decision from Judge Barbara Crabb in Madison. So we're confident that they're going to assess this on the merits, but in the meantime, to allow people to participate and to be part of history, in effect, we have our campaign. The campaign is called Wisconsin Unites for Marriage. Wisconsin Unites for Marriage. And I'll tell you a little bit later about some of the things that the campaign is going to entail. But now let me give it back to Sid, and let's hear some folks who are part of this movement.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Pastor Warner from the Plymouth Church.
Thank you, Sid. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Plymouth Church. Our Christian movement traces its roots back to Plymouth Colony over 400 years ago. And over those 400 years, we've stood in every generation for freedom and equality because we know that God treasures every life and God blesses each person with dignity. Today, our nation debates equality for gay and lesbian couples. Not just legislatures and not just courts, but everyday people in their homes and their neighborhoods wonder what to think and to do. And to those who wonder, I would say that at our best, we Americans always decide for freedom and equality. This summer, Judge Barbara Crabb faced a decision on the marriage rights of gay and lesbian people. She read from the Constitution and she concluded in one of my favorite lines from her judgment, there is no asterisk next to the 14th Amendment that excludes gays and lesbians from its protections. Judge Crabb is right. There is no asterisk next to American freedom and equality. The courthouse in Milwaukee acted quickly on Judge Crabb's decision. Gay and lesbian couples were allowed to marry for a week. 8 couples from my own congregation married that week, and I was able to perform several of those weddings. John and Angel were one of the couples married at the courthouse. Our congregation had blessed their relationship back in 1991. They waited 23 years for the courthouse to record their commitment. 23 years of supporting each other in joys and concerns. 23 years of living through times of plenty and want. They lived their married vows for 23 years before the county courthouse could record it. My congregation rejoiced when Angel and John were married. It wasn't just the gay and lesbian people in our congregation that were happy. It was people like a straight 70-year-old straight usher who greeted them at the door with tears in his eyes, at last, at last. Our joy came from seeing gay and lesbian couples, couples starting families, couples raising children, people supporting them in their life together, people who loved each other deeply. Our joy came from seeing gay and lesbian couples we cared about treated with dignity. And now we want to make sure that one miraculous week in June becomes every day in Wisconsin. We join with Wisconsin Unites for Marriage because God's love includes everyone. We join because American freedom includes everyone. May our nation truly be a city set on a hill with a beacon of equality for all.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Roy Badger and Garth Wongman, who live here in Milwaukee and are two plaintiffs in the ACLU's Freedom to Marry case. Roy and Garth have been together 37 years. They met through mutual friends when they were students at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and got together on Election Day in November 1976. Roy, who's lived in Wisconsin since age 12, has worked as an editor at the UW-Milwaukee for 32 years. Garth, a native Wisconsinite, is an active community member and avid gardener. The couple attends Bethel Bethany United Church of Christ and are here to speak today. They also have two dogs named Daisy and Winston. Hi, Garth.
Right.
Thank you. After nearly 4 decades together, Garth and I had kind of lost hope that we'd ever be able to get married. It's always seemed like such a long shot. But when the judge's decision and seeing so many gay and lesbian couples getting married in such a short time here in Wisconsin, we now have hope. We hope we can once and for all love and we hope we can once and for now bring love and equality to the Badger state. We can hope that younger people love and can love in the state with equality for all. We can hope that same-sex couples don't have to worry about families taking their homes and belongings away because they haven't filled out the correct legal paperwork for a medical emergency for either person. We can hope that everyone will have the choice of helping us celebrate our life commitment together. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Garth Wongman. Roy and I are not asking for special rights. We are seeking equal protection under the law. After 37 years, Roy and I have proven that we are committed to one another and that we want to have the same rights that other committed straight couples now enjoy. Equal protection under the law became an issue when I was diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago. And due to complications after surgery, I went into a coma. Roy was appointed my medical power of attorney, and he is also my domestic partner under Wisconsin's Domestic Partnership Registry. My condition had reached a point where the outcome did not look good and the decision had to be made to turn the life supports off. Roy felt this was not the time and wanted to wait. However, my father felt otherwise and wanted the machines turned off. Roy, thank God, wanted them kept on. Rather than accepting this, my dad sought legal representation to overturn my medical power of attorney to Roy. I was lucky because it was at that time I started to come out of the coma and my dad's court action was not applicable any longer. Even though my dad's court action was stopped due to my improvement, the fact that he felt he could do this spoke to me that Roy and I did not have the rights to make medical decisions for each other because we were not married according to the state. If this had happened to one of my married sisters, for instance, my dad probably would not have thought of going to court to force my brother-in-law to do something else besides what he had decided. There are people out there that say we are seeking special rights and should not be allowed to marry. We are not seeking special rights, only equal rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roy and Garth, for your moving story. We appreciate you sharing it with us today. Now I'd like to ask Cammie and Kareena to join me. Cammie and Kareena have been together for 13 years. They met a few minutes after midnight on New Year's Eve in 2001, and they went on their first date shortly thereafter. They live in West Milwaukee with their dogs and cat. They registered a domestic partner registration in 2009 and were legally married in December 2013. They're closest friends in attendance in this historic courtroom in Winona, Minnesota. Cammie and Kareena have also just started a family. Cammie gave birth to their daughter Olivia in late March. Cammie, Kareena.
Cammie and I are a loving couple who can now add parents to our list of accomplishments, and probably our best accomplishment ever. Our daughter is the beautiful result of our love for one another. The recognition of our marriage would help us to ensure our family's stability and that she is cared for in every possible way. We are here today to represent families like ours who deserve the same rights that others receive.
It made me feel helpless as a parent not to be able to put my partner's name on our birth certificate, on her birth certificate, and that she cannot legally adopt Olivia in this state. This is why we're here today, to show others that couples like ours deserve the right to marry and have the same rights that others so easily enjoy.
Thank you, Cammie and Kareena. When we listen to these compelling stories, I don't know how you can't be inspired. The freedom to marry the person you love is a basic freedom that should start and not be denied by anyone.
Get my tea there, so.
Okay.
So people in Wisconsin, couples who pay taxes, who work hard, who are part of their communities, all deserve to be treated equally. You know, these same-sex couples really want nothing more than what their straight counterparts have already, the right to marry. And the Wisconsin Unites for Marriage campaign is all about giving these people a voice. You've heard these compelling stories, and I think that when people hear those, they're going to recognize that Wisconsin is ready for marriage, it's deserved, couples have waited too long, and so the campaign is going to give those people a voice, and it's going to allow people to participate in a number of activities. It's summer in Wisconsin, so there's not going to be a lot of meetings because people are away, so the campaign is going to be mostly online. There's already a website that's active, wisconsinunites.org. So wisconsinunites.org, and people can find ways to participate in the campaign there. There's a petition, there's social media tools, there's all sorts of things going on. And we hope that this generates some additional conversation around the topic. Perhaps there are still people that are going to have some change in their hearts and minds. We think that the tide has already turned, that there are more than enough people who support marriage equality to give the judges in the ACLU's case confidence that they're doing something that will be well received. So we hope that the campaign can do all that and serve many purposes. So at this point, we'll take questions.
It's a statewide campaign, Chris?
This is a statewide campaign. It's statewide in part because it's to a large extent web-based and people can access it statewide, but also because the partner organizations, ACLU of Wisconsin, which has nearly 7,000 members around the state, Fair Wisconsin, which is a statewide organization with organizers all around the state, are going to use their tools, their resources to bring focus into the campaign. And
You said earlier the campaign is to provide hope for people, and we were talking off camera earlier about an opportunity for those who have yet to participate,
right,
to be involved. What ways can people become involved, not just through signing up on the web? Is there
right. Well, in addition to the items that are on the web, the petition, we're going to have a physical presence in some venues around the state. For instance, at Madison Pride this coming weekend, Pride Fest. And there will also be opportunities for religious groups, clergy, business leaders, others to get involved. We've got all kinds of materials like the sign that you see here. We want to distribute those widely so people can do whatever they feel comfortable with in terms of expressing their support for marriage equality and letting the whole community know that Wisconsin is ready for freedom to marry.
Is that your ultimate goal?
I think that we're not so bold as to say that it's going to change the mind of any judge down in Chicago, because the judges are going to decide this on the basis of the law. And we're confident that in terms of the law, we've presented them with very strong arguments, including the great decision from Judge Crabb in Madison, who spent a lot of time and effort and spent a lot of time dealing with motions and objections from the state, and came to the conclusion that the Wisconsin marriage ban violates the Constitution of the United States. It's discriminatory. And Judge Crabb wrote that it really got to the essence of it. What really is at issue here is liberty and equality. And that's what our coalition, what Wisconsin Unites for Marriage is all about. So the judges don't live in a vacuum, and they know what's going on. And I think that this is an opportunity for people to participate. This can have a number of outcomes. One potential outcome is that the people who are deciding these issues will have a sense that the public is ready to accept marriage equality, and that they don't have to be cautious about getting a ruling or having a ruling which finds that LGBT couples are deserving of the same dignity and respect from their government as other couples. Very good.